Three note cards.
Sorry.
Come here, sweetie.
Uh-oh.
Just let her go.
Ba-ding.
Oh, I didn't know.
According to www.methproject.org, in their Guess the Mugshot section, it took 1.5 years for this woman to turn into this addict. In a class analysis I did last week, 100% of the students, including myself, has known somebody who has tried illegal drugs. Now, for me, those people are my older sister April and my husband Ryan. And I mention them because I don't want to just give you a bunch of statistics. I want you to understand addiction from a more personal level. Because drug addiction not only harms people physically and mentally, it also has effects on family members who also deal with incarceration, treatment programs, and even death. Now, first we should address the effects that illegal drugs can have on a person's body and mind. I'm going to focus on methamphetamines for this part. And according to a website created by Jason L. Kelly in 2005 for Latinos Health Issues class at Arizona State University, physical problems meth addiction can cause are weight loss, cardiovascular problems, skin abscess, crank bugs, and sexual dysfunction. Now, for an example for weight loss, my husband today weighs 185 pounds, and he is almost 6 feet tall. At his lowest point during addiction, he weighed 100 pounds, and after treatment, he weighed 165. If you don't know what crank bugs are, it's a very disturbing thing. It's when you see an addict clawing, gouging, scraping, and itching at their skin because they think that there are bugs under their skin. Seeing this, it's kind of off-putting. Sexual dysfunction, this website states that through research, methamphetamines can increase sexual libido, but long-term may be proven to cause sexual dysfunction in men. It's not fun for anybody. Now I want you to take a look at this picture. Anybody who has been through the...
Just move the ball on the bottom of it.
The bottom?
Put it on.
Here, fix it. Anybody who has been through the DARE program knows exactly where I am going with this. And I believe it is that was your brain on drugs, and the eggs was your... that was your brain on drugs. This website before also mentions neurological effects, and it states that chronic use may result in violent behavior, anxiety, confusion, and even insomnia. Psychotic features include paranoia, auditory hallucinations, mood disturbances, delusions, and homicidal thoughts. I remember one time I was younger, my sister was trying to convince me that there were little green men living in her window blinds. These behaviors can persist after drug use has stopped, months to even years after, and it's very scary. Next thing I want to discuss a little bit is about treatment programs and incarceration. In that same study I did with my classmates, I asked them how much they thought that they would spend on a treatment for their child if they were addicted to drugs. The majority of the classmates said that they would spend any amount, it didn't matter. And one classmate who is also a healthcare worker added that she's seen way too many people under the age of 30 who are now living on a ventilator, feeding tubes, and cannot do anything for themselves because of their past drug addiction. She said, when you see something like that, the memory sticks in your head, and you do anything to help somebody fight their addiction. My mother-in-law, Carol Canuse, is one of these people. And in an email interview I did with her last week, she stated that it costs $4,200 a month to put her son in the treatment program they chose. Now, this is a lot of money for a lot of people to come up with, and of course there are cheaper programs that you can do, like residential treatments or even basic counseling sessions. Now, my husband was in Cross Creek. It is a rehabilitation center in Utah. It's pretty much a high school setting, but they do intensive program treatments as well. Family members are involved, but they're involved in a remote place. He was there for 22 months, and he said that he took the last 12 months of it seriously, kicking and screaming the beginning of it. Their intense program worked for him, though. He did relapse like most people do right when he got out, but he scared himself because he knew if he touched it one more time, he wouldn't be able to stop, and he hasn't touched it since. A lot of people aren't as lucky as Ryan is, and this graph shows that. According to the United States Census Bureau, juvenile arrests for drug offenses, on a positive note, are lowering from 145 million a year in 2006 to 130 in 2009. I think that everybody would like to see it at 0, but this is a good improvement. And I must note that they do have repeat offenders in this study, like my sister, who over a 17-year span has been arrested 7 times and has been imprisoned twice for her drug offenses. I've seen firsthand what drug addiction can do to a family. It's ruined my relationship entirely with my sister, and I have 2 beautiful nieces who are 10 and 4, and they've spent half of their life without my sister. My mother has raised them. In fact, one time they were even separated from each other, 700 miles, and my sister's influences and her choices because of drugs was always going to affect those 2 girls. Now, last I want to touch on what's serious, and I'm sure most serious to everybody, is death with drug addiction. And according to an article in 2012 on www.drugfree.org by Join Together staff, drug abuse kills 200,000 people a year. That's from suicide and overdose. I've been called at least 3 times from my mother telling me that my sister has been hospitalized because she tried to commit suicide while under the influence. In fact, one time she actually ran her car into a brick wall because the drugs had messed with her head so much. And of course we always have to touch on overdose, and that is the majority of deaths because of addiction. And in fact, this year I lost one of my good friends, Peter, who accidentally overdosed on his relapse. 2007 I lost one of my childhood friends, Mark, for the same thing. 2005 I lost my uncle to his alcohol addiction. These were people who were genuinely cared about, and they got the help they needed, but they weren't as lucky as my husband or my sister when they relapsed. They died. It's serious of drug addiction. On that note, I leave you with this. Drug addiction is a serious subject, and anybody who considers using needs to remember the effects that it can have on them physically and mentally, but also the chance of incarceration and even death, and they might not get the treatment they need. Think about your friends and your family, because they go through that addiction with you as well. And this problem is affecting more and more people every day, and it's our job as role models to the future generations to not only educate ourselves, but to remember the repercussions of drug abuse. Thank you.
Scan the audience. Look, camera.